Imagine waking up tomorrow with complete control over every word you speak, every emotion you feel, every dollar you spend, and every thought that passes through your mind. Sounds impossible, right? Almost like a fantasy. But more than 2,000 years ago, there was a man who believed this wasn't just possible. He believed it was the only way to live a truly free life. His name was Epictetus. And here's the part that should stop you in your tracks for a moment. He was born a slave. Let that sink in. He had no control over his body. No freedom to go where he wanted. No say in his circumstances. He was literally owned by another human being. Yet somehow, in the middle of all that limitation, Epictetus discovered something so powerful that it transformed him from a physical slave into one of history's greatest teachers of mental and emotional freedom. He taught a simple but uncomfortable truth. No one can hurt you without your permission. At first, that might sound harsh, especially if you're dealing with real pain right now. But what he meant was this: while we can't always control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. And in that response lies our true power. Today, most of us aren't physically enslaved. But many of us are trapped. Trapped by our uncontrolled words. Trapped by our emotions. Trapped by impulsive spending. And trapped by minds that never seem to slow down. We say things we later regret. We let a bad mood ruin an entire day. We spend money we don't have on things we don't need. And we allow our thoughts to spiral into fear, doubt, and constant worry. But what if I told you that the same wisdom that freed a Roman slave could also free you? What if the very areas where you feel most out of control, your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind, could actually become your greatest strengths? The ancient Stoics understood something we've largely forgotten. Real wealth isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in self-control. Real power isn't about dominating others. It's about mastering yourself. And true freedom isn't having endless choices. It's making the right choices, consistently, every single day. Life gives you countless chances to practice this. Someone cuts you off in traffic. That's your chance to control your mouth and your mood. You feel tempted to buy something you don't need. That's your moment to take control of your money. Your mind starts spiraling with fear or doubt. That's your opportunity to reclaim your thoughts. This is the beauty of Stoic wisdom. It doesn't demand perfection. Even Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the Roman Empire, struggled with these same battles. In his private journal, he reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This isn't about becoming cold or emotionless. It's about becoming so grounded in who you are that external chaos can't shake you. When you control your mouth, you speak with intention, not impulse. When you control your mood, you choose your emotional state instead of being its victim. When you manage your money, it becomes a tool for peace, not a source of stress. And when you master your mind, you become the author of your thoughts, not their prisoner. In the next few minutes, you're going to gain insight into these 4 pillars of personal power. We'll explore ancient wisdom that feels more relevant today than ever before, and you'll walk away with real tools you can start using immediately. But here's the deal. This only works if you commit. Each section builds on the one before it. So don't skip ahead. Stay with me through every part. Your future self will thank you. So now that you understand where real power begins, inside your own choices, let's take the first step on this path of self-mastery. And I promise you this, if you're truly ready to take back control, what comes next could change your life. If this message resonates with you, take a moment to hit the like button. Drop a comment telling me which of the 4 M's you struggle with the most. And make sure you're subscribed, because this journey towards self-mastery is only just beginning. Share this with someone who needs it. Real power starts with you. And write this in the comments. I am the master of my mouth, mood, money, and mind. Now let's begin. 1. Master your mouth, the gateway to wisdom. There's an old saying, the tongue is a small thing, yet it can cause enormous damage. But here's what most people don't realize. Your mouth isn't only about how your words affect others. Every single word you speak is either building or destroying the person you are becoming. Seneca, one of Rome's greatest Stoic philosophers, spent years observing the power of speech in the Roman Senate. He watched careers rise and collapse because of a single sentence. He saw friendships shattered by careless words, and alliances formed through thoughtful communication. But his deepest insight didn't come from watching others. It came from watching himself. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end, Seneca wrote. And nowhere is this more true than with our words. Every time you speak, you are ending one version of yourself and beginning another. The real question is, are you becoming someone you respect? Think about the last time you said something in anger that you immediately regretted. You probably felt it the moment it happened. Your words escaped before your wisdom could catch them. That's the power of uncontrolled speech. Now imagine if you could reclaim that power. What if every word you spoke was chosen, not just released? The Stoics practiced something simple, yet profound: the pause before speaking. Especially in emotional moments, they would stop and silently ask themselves 3 questions. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? If the answer to any of these was no, they chose silence. But mastering your mouth isn't only about holding back negative words. It's also about intentionally using positive ones. When you genuinely compliment someone, you're not just brightening their day, you're training yourself to notice the good in the world. When you speak encouragement, you're programming your own mind to look for possibilities instead of problems. Marcus Aurelius once wrote in his personal journal, "Be like the rocky headland on which the waves constantly break. It stands firm, and around it the seething waters are laid to rest." Your controlled speech can become that headland for others. In a world full of reactive communication, your thoughtful words can be a source of calm, stability, and strength. Here's a simple practice that can transform your relationships almost immediately. For the next 7 days, before you speak in any emotionally charged situation, Take 3 slow, deep breaths. On the first breath, ask yourself what you are feeling. On the second, ask what the other person might be feeling. On the third, ask what words would serve the highest good of everyone involved. It only takes a few seconds, but those seconds can change everything. The amazing thing about mastering your mouth is that it creates a powerful feedback loop. When you speak with intention, your mind becomes clearer. When your mind becomes clearer, your emotions calm down. And when your emotions settle, your words grow wiser. And this is only the beginning. After learning how mastering your mouth reshapes your words and your inner world, let's go deeper, because the way you speak doesn't just change conversations. It changes you. People begin to respond to you differently. They listen more carefully, trust you more deeply, and seek your guidance more often. This isn't manipulation. It's simply the natural result of becoming someone worth listening to. But perhaps the most powerful impact of mouth mastery is how it transforms your relationship with yourself. Every time you keep a promise you made out loud, you build self-trust. Every time you speak kindly about yourself, you reshape your self-image. Every time you refuse to gossip or complain, you consciously choose to focus your mental energy on what you can actually control. Remember this: your words don't just communicate your thoughts, they shape them. When you consistently speak in the language of possibility, gratitude, and wisdom, your mind slowly begins to think in those same patterns. Almost automatically. You become what you repeatedly say. Your mouth is the gateway between your inner world and the outer world. Master this gateway, and you master the flow of energy in both directions. What comes out of you becomes cleaner, calmer, more intentional. And what comes into you loses its power to shake you. Tomorrow, we'll explore how this same principle applies to your emotional world. For now, affirm this below and let it become your daily reminder. I speak with power, not impulse. Now let's move forward. 2. Master your mood, the inner weather system. Imagine waking up every morning and letting someone else decide the weather inside your mind. Some days they choose stormy anger. Other days, heavy fog and sadness. And occasionally, if you're lucky, they allow a little sunshine called happiness. This is exactly how most people live their emotional lives, completely at the mercy of external circumstances. But here's what changed everything for me, and what the Stoics discovered over 2,000 years ago. You are not the victim of your emotions. You are their creator. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychologist who endured Nazi concentration camps under unimaginable suffering, uncovered a truth that perfectly echoes ancient Stoic wisdom. He said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Pause for a moment and feel that space right now as you listen. That space exists within you, between every trigger and every emotional reaction. Sometimes it lasts only a split second, but in that tiny moment, you have complete power to choose. The Stoics called this the discipline of desire. It's not about wanting less. It's about wanting what you already have. It's about accepting what you cannot change, while working diligently on what you can. When you master this, your mood becomes like a well-tuned instrument that you can play instead of a wild storm that plays you. Here's a truth that might surprise you. Your emotions are not facts. They are interpretations. When someone doesn't text you back right away, the situation itself is neutral. But your mind creates a story. Maybe they're ignoring you. Maybe they're upset. Maybe they don't care. But what if you told a different story? What if they're busy? What if their phone died? What if they're planning something special for you? Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily. He reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Every morning, he prepared for difficult people, unexpected problems, and uncomfortable moments. But instead of dreading them, he welcomed them as opportunities to practice emotional mastery. Try this powerful exercise right now. Think of something that's been bothering you lately. Now ask yourself, what story am I telling myself about this situation? Then ask, what's another way I could interpret this? And finally, which interpretation serves my highest good? The magic happens when you realize something profound. You've been the author of your emotional experience all along. You just didn't know you were writing the story. But mood mastery isn't about toxic positivity. It's about conscious choice. And that choice is always waiting for you, in that quiet space between stimulus and response. After realizing that you are the author of your emotional story, the next step becomes clear. It's not about pretending everything is fine. It's about choosing responses that strengthen you, instead of draining your energy. When anger rises, instead of suppressing it or letting it explode, you can transform it into fuel for positive change. When sadness shows up, instead of drowning in it, you can allow it to reconnect you with your humanity and deepen your compassion for others. The Stoics had a beautiful nightly ritual called evening reflection. Each night, they would quietly review their day and ask themselves simple but powerful questions. What emotions did I experience today? Which ones served me? Which ones controlled me? And how can I respond better tomorrow? Here's what starts to happen when you practice mood mastery consistently. You stop being afraid of your emotions because you know you can handle them. You stop avoiding difficult situations because you trust your ability to navigate them emotionally. You become the calm center in other people's storms, and that makes you incredibly valuable in both relationships and work. Remember this: every emotion you feel is information, not instruction. Anger tells you something matters. Fear tells you to pay attention. Sadness tells you that you've lost something meaningful. But none of these emotions get to make decisions for you. Your mood is your inner weather system. And just like a skilled meteorologist, you can learn to predict it, prepare for it, and even influence the climate inside your mind. If you're ready to take control of your emotional world, say this with me. I control my emotions. They don't control me. Now let's move to the third pillar. 3. Master your money, the tool of freedom. Money reveals who you are more than almost anything else in life. It isn't just currency. It is crystallized energy, time, and choices. And how you handle it determines whether you live as a free person or as a slave to your own desires. Seneca was one of the wealthiest men in Rome, yet he wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." This wasn't just philosophy for him. He lived it. Despite his immense wealth, he regularly practiced voluntary discomfort. He slept on the floor. He ate simple meals, all to remind himself that his happiness did not depend on luxury. Here's a hard truth most people don't want to hear. If you can't control your spending, you can't control your life. Every purchase you make is either moving you toward freedom or pulling you closer to slavery. There is no neutral ground. But money mastery is not about being cheap or denying yourself joy. It's about aligning your spending with your values. It's about using money as a tool instead of letting money use you. When you buy something because you're sad, bored, or trying to impress others, money is using you. When you buy something because it genuinely adds value to your life or helps you serve others better, you are using money. The Stoics practice something called preferred indifference. These are things that are generally good to have, but do not determine your worth or happiness. Money falls into this category. It's better to have than not have. But it should never become your master. Think about your last impulse purchase. You know the one. That item probably sitting unused somewhere in your house right now. In that moment of buying, what were you really trying to purchase? Was it the object itself? Or were you buying a feeling, status, comfort, excitement, or acceptance? Here's a practice that can revolutionize your relationship with money. Before making any non-essential purchase, pause and ask yourself, what am I really trying to buy here? If the answer is a feeling or experience, try to find a way to get that feeling without spending money first. More often than not, you'll realize you never needed the purchase at all. But true money mastery goes beyond controlling spending. It's about creating value. The Stoics believe deeply in contributing to the common good. When you focus on serving others through your work, money becomes a natural byproduct instead of the primary goal. This shift changes everything about how you earn and how you spend. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "In the morning, when you rise unwillingly, let this thought be present: I am rising to the work of a human being." When you see your work as service, not just a way to make money, something powerful happens. You bring excellence to what you do. You show up with purpose. And freedom begins to grow, quietly and steadily, from the inside out.